So I drove 3 hours to take my real estate license test.
You what?
So I'm about to tell you the story on how I passed my real estate license test. Now, before I tell you this long story, first get some popcorn, get some water or soda or whatever you want to drink. Maybe use this as background noise. Get some exercises in there while listening to this. Play some video games or whatever you got to do to keep yourself occupied while watching or listening to this video. It was around April of 2021. It was on a Friday where I was taking this test, and this was after all the tutoring and the studying and anything you can think of to be ready for this test. And really good sleep. Yes, you should take some really good sleep before you take this test. So I got there early. I forgot what time it was, but it was certainly 30 minutes before the test in the morning. I was just breathing, just getting prepared because I've taken this test multiple times. Was a little bit nervous, of course. And I remember that, man, this guy, the proctor, he made me smile for the camera. Yeah, pretty much like that. Because he was like all about those good vibes only kind of thing.
Good vibes only, don't forget it.
Because it is kind of true. When you're taking a test, you really should have that positive mindset while taking that test. Because anything that you think negatively, because I know taking a test is a very daunting thing, it will bring your energy down. And this is coming from someone with the experience of taking this test. So as I was going through the test, I was trying to go as carefully as I possibly can. And normally it's the math problems that I do dominate well, which I think is the easiest part of the real estate license exam. And all the other questions were going pretty smooth. But then once I got to the math portion of the exam, I was a little bit thrown off. And some of these questions I saw, they were not exactly all familiar as I thought it would be. So that was pretty disappointing because I wasn't even sure if I got those right. So anyways, before I bore you guys out, I got my results for the test, and it turned out I missed by just 2 points. That's right, you heard me. 2 points. And I was just thinking, wow, I missed it by that much. Like, it really looked like that day was going to be the day. So immediately, I called PSI to get the most early date possible. And I saw, according to them, from the person from the call center, and I was on hold for a long time. Now, if you've called PSI, the testing center for Washington State usually, you better get yourself comfortable because it's a long hold time. And I remember, and thankfully I was driving to keep myself occupied, I was on hold for a very long time. So eventually I got May 12th as the test date, which was almost a month away. And I was just really eager to take this test because I only missed it by just 2 points. That's right, 2 points. And I really wanted to take this as quickly as possible. But May 12th, it is what it is, because during that time, that's when the market was going a little bit crazy. And that's when a lot of people were trying to get into real estate because they really wanted to jump in to this kind of market. So as the day went by, I went back to work. I was working in childcare at the time. And then conveniently later in the day, during my break, I just happened to look at the testing schedule, kept refreshing it over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, I got the option to take it on the following Monday to take this exam. And I was thinking, man, should I really just do this? I was thinking, yeah, I absolutely should. But there was a catch to it. I had to drive all the way to Vancouver, Washington, where if you're in the King County area, it's typically going to be a 3-hour drive. So I texted my friend who was supporting me the entire time of taking this exam. Usually, like, day before the exam, we go out to eat some dinner to like get me all calmed down the day before the test. And I was texting her like, hey, should I really take this test on the following Monday, even though it's going to be a 3-hour drive? And my friend goes, yeah, go for it. And she gave it to me all in caps saying, yes, do it. What are you waiting for? Go take that test. This is something you've been doing for a long time. And yes, I had been taking classes since 2020. So reluctantly, I chose that date to take the test. So for that following weekend, I remember Saturday I was working at a restaurant throughout pretty much the entire day. But thankfully, before I went to work, I had a tutoring session with this website called ndrealty.agent. And by the way, go check out their website. They are a great resource if you want help to pass this real estate exam. So not only was I just working on that Saturday, I was also trying to call any of my friends to go on a road trip with me all the way to Vancouver. Yeah, Vancouver, Washington, close to Portland. I called almost every friend I possibly could. And unfortunately, none of them were available because it was just too short of a notice. So I did bring a young fellow with me. This is who I brought. I brought Grogu as my road trip partner. And he's gone to a lot of road trips with me. Don't judge me. Then it was Sunday, and normally that's the day I usually play softball. Now I play on Mondays. I mean, I could have skipped softball and just completely focused on my exam, but I do have that belief where if I just stay way too focused on this exam and just study, it will completely just tear out my brain. And I do believe that any form of physical activity, including playing a sport, could actually help clear your mind, relieve some stress, take some of that stress out on playing softball, and get your mind all cleared up for the next day. So I did play softball. Now, unfortunately, my team lost, but that didn't really matter because all what really mattered was passing that exam. And the other reason why it mattered to me, so it was the very next day, Monday, April 19th. So I was working in childcare at the time, and I actually was working, and I scheduled this exam for 7 p.m. So I negotiated with my boss well beforehand that if I could leave a little bit early, because my original shift was like 6:30 a.m. all the way to 3 p.m. I negotiated to go out a little bit earlier by 2:30 just so I can have a little bit of wiggle room with that road trip because there would have been that rush hour traffic and who knows if I would even make it there on time. So right after work, I think I remember I packed some iced coffee I got from the store while going to the bathroom, of course. Then drove down all the way to Tacoma, took another pit stop, went to the bathroom, got any other necessary supplies I needed for the road trip, and then just kept driving along. And throughout that trip, along with my buddy Grogu, I was just jamming up any kind of music to just keep me all pumped up and constantly energized. And sipping a lot of that iced coffee just to keep me just heated and just ready to go. And then, of course, you probably all are aware that when you're going through Tacoma and Olympia, that traffic in I-5 does get a little bit packed up and nasty, especially in that road in Tacoma near the Tacoma Dome, where they're still not even done with that construction yet. But anyways, after I got through that, the drive was really smooth. It was just a nice little breeze. And then finally, I got to the testing site. And luckily, I had at least an hour before I took the exam. So I ate a little bit of food, just walked around, went to some stores just to take my mind off things. And then as soon as I got into the exam, which was 7 o'clock, which is usually pretty unusual because usually these exams would be in the morning, but for some reason, I guess for this day, they accommodated for people that work during the day, morning, and they just want to take it at night, which usually I guess I do better when I take the test during the night for some reason. I don't know why, but I just do. So of course, I saw the proctor, took the picture, I smiled just because I wanted to stay positive. And my feeling of this whole thing, this is going to sound a little bit dorky, but I was feeling exactly like Kevin when he was defending his home in Home Alone.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt because both of us were going through very daunting things. Kevin was protecting his house from the robbers. I was taking a test that could change the course of my future. So as soon as I took the test, I went through every single question, answered them very, very slowly. I did not rush to anything. I breezed through it, but it wasn't satisfied enough for me. I still went through every single question after that. And I know there's that saying where you're not supposed to second guess, but I went through every single one of them. And I even went by, what are the chances of this being right? Okay, I'll pretend it's right. And then I calculated like maybe the worst case scenario, I will get this much wrong or this much right. So I did that like several times. I'm pretty sure I don't think I went through the entire duration of the test, but I took a good amount of time. I think I decided to say, okay, I'm done when it was like 30 minutes to spare because I had that feeling of like, what more could I do? Do I really want to keep changing my answers? Do I really want to play the second guessing game? Which is why you shouldn't be second guessing, even though that's a tough nut to crack. You can't really like, could you second guess it or could you just go with your gut? It's tough to say. So I submitted my test for completion and I saw the proctor. He saw it printing out. I noticed he saw my score right after that because I remember when I failed the test in Everett a few days before, the guy already told me the score before the test results even printed out. And I remember right after he looked at my score, he goes, all right, just give me a few more seconds and here comes the hamster. So I was thinking, oh, did I pass the test this time? And little did you know, he handed it to me. It said, I passed the test. And of course, I held my excitement. All I said was, thank you very much, sir. Have a good day. So I just walked to my car as calmly as possible. So as soon as I got in the car, I went ahead and called my friend. She answered the phone. She was thinking, did you pass the test? I said, yup. And then all I could hear was just cheering because I guess her and her friends were just like so excited for me. I just couldn't even think. Like, I was just frozen for words. And I went through quite a bit of time to pass this test. And finally, I passed it. And I was just so happy. And by the way, if you're wondering who my friend is, go check out her YouTube channel. She does have a music channel that she writes her own songs and sings it. She does really well with it. So go ahead and check that out. So I was just calling all of my other friends that I passed the test. And of course, one of them goes, oh, okay. Well, what's the next step? And I was like, oh, right. I don't know yet. So at least, although I had no idea what I was going to do after passing this test other than interviewing with teams and brokers, it was just a nice drive home. Before I even made that drive, I went to Carl's Jr. and got some chicken tenders, which they are so good, by the way. And then as soon as I got home, I got to sleep really well because if I didn't pass that test, I was thinking about just driving just to Olympia, book a hotel and just sleep because I didn't want to drive all the way knowing that I failed the test. But because I passed the test, it was like the best 3 hours of my life just driving. And then the following weekend, I took a couple of my friends along with Grogu, and we went on a road trip all the way to Boise, Idaho to celebrate. And now look where I am. I am now a real estate agent, and I've been in this business since 2021. It's been a growing process, but what I'm doing right now, I love what I'm doing. I love helping with the clients. I love working with my team. If this story was intriguing enough for you and you would like some of my real estate advice just based off, I guess, the vibes out of this video, go ahead and check out my information in the description if you need some help selling the house or buying the house. And I'll go over the processes of both the selling or the buying. And anyways, thank you for all this time of listening or watching or however you viewed this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And there will be more videos coming in the future related to real estate. And thanks for watching.